Hello, guys and gals, and welcome to the, I believe, the last episode of Runewords. Although I may make some updated videos on some of these new ones that are getting sort of, changed around a little bit. Like, for instance, Infinity now can be made in spears, so I might have to redo my Infinity video. That'll be interesting. But today we're going to be looking at a rune word that is made exclusively in claws, and is a very interesting rune word because it gives you the ability of Whirlwind. I have prepared some interesting claws here. I have some runic talons with +3 death sentry, +1 dragonflight, and +3 mind blast, which I thought could be interesting. And we're going to go ahead and throw our runes into these claws, and we're going to put them on because why not? So we're going to talk about the rune word first, and then we're going to go over what it does. So give me just a minute here. And Mr. NiNi's being a bad boy, but that's okay because we're going to figure it out anyway, whether Mr. NiNi wants us to or not. Isn't that right, Mr. NiNi? He said, "What?" He's mad at me now. I gave him atomic-powered pets. So the Chaos rune word is a level 57 rune word. It's not particularly high. 57 is kind of mid-tier. But of course, you can't actually build a Whirlwind Assassin because you have to be level 57 before you can even get these claws, and that's obviously is a detriment. But at level 57, you could put these on, and ideally, you'd probably want to put these in a much higher tier claw. You're going to want to build your assassin very interestingly, usually revolving around things like claw mastery. So, for instance, let me just go ahead and put some points in, so I've got enough strength and dex for these claws. All right, and I'll just dump the rest into vitality. Why not? So you're probably going to want to put a lot of points into Claw Mastery specifically for this ability, and there are a lot of other things that you can build. Obviously, I have Mind Blast now, which is of course because of the claws. You can also build a Death Sentry with this build. A lot of people like to build Death Sentry with their doesn't matter what they're building. Dragonflight is very, very useful for this build as well. I mean, there are a lot of different ways that you can go with this particular build. Weapon block is also kind of nice if you're going to be utilizing 2 claws. And of course, you can use Burst of Speed or Fade. Burst of Speed is very, very nice. So we're going to go with Burst of Speed for right now. And look, there's our Whirlwind. Hey, buddy. I'm just going to go ahead and put some points into weapon block since I am using 2 claws. And we're also going to max out Venom so that we have some additional Venom damage. And most people usually put at least 1 point into one of the either the Master or the Warrior. I'm just going to go ahead and put a point into the Master. And you can do what you want with the rest of your skill points. This is not a Whirlwind Assassin guide. This is more of just, I'm putting the points in here so that I can show you how the ability works. As you can see, I don't even have that much equipment on. Let me just grab some random stuff from my stash. It really doesn't even matter. I'm just going to grab just some random things from my stash to kind of fill out this build. And if you were actually going to build this character, you would, of course, spend a lot more time, deliberating and choosing what kind of abilities that you would want. And that's not what this video is. This is just going over the item itself. So give me just a second here. I'm just going to grab, grab a Carrion Wind. Why not? All right, so here we are on our assassin, and we have our claws, and we've got our abilities. So let's go over the weapon itself. So we have a 9% chance to cast level 11 Frozen Orb on striking. Now, Frozen Orb is an ability that actually does pretty massive amount of damage at relatively low levels. At level 11, it does a damage of 146 to 151 damage per bolt, and it has a cold length of 18 seconds. Now, the bolts are relatively low damage at an average of about 150 damage per bolt. However, because of the way that the ability works, it actually has a rather large number of bolts, and you can't really be sure how many bolts are going to hit a particular target at any particular time. It actually puts out I think it's a maximum of like 32 bolts, I want to say. But you're probably not going to get all of those bolts. Oh, 46 bolts, my bad. So 46 bolts on Frozen Orb, but you're probably not going to get all of those to hit a target at one time. But if you did, let's say theoretically somehow all 46 bolts were to hit a target at one time, that would be 46 times an average of 150 damage, which is 41,400 damage. How did I do that wrong? Did I do that wrong? 46 times 150. 6,900 damage. I'm terrible. I am terrible at math, even on the calculator. I think I clicked a button wrong. So 6,900 damage if you could theoretically get all of them to hit a target, which they won't, by the way. I think maximum amount that you can get to hit a target is 32, which is about 150 damage times 32. Which is more along the lines of about 4,800. Then you also have to calculate in the fact that most monsters have resistances, at least like 50% cold resistance, and so forth and so on. And things get a little bit hairier there as far as the damage is concerned. But level 11 Frozen Orb is definitely something nice to have to proc on striking. We also have an 11% chance to cast level 9 Charge Bolt on striking. Now, Charge Bolt is not so great on damage, and unless you're shotgunning it directly into the target, it's relatively low and quite pathetic. It's kind of hard to really get a good gauge on what Charge Bolt's damage is going to be, because at level 9, it only does about, 8 damage or something like that. It's relatively low. And then, of course, it has 11 bolts, and those 11 bolts can be multiplied out by the 8, so you're looking at like 88 damage if all 11 bolts hit the target. It's not the greatest amount of damage without lightning mastery and synergies and things like that. It doesn't particularly work very well. But it's extra damage, which will be hitting the target. We also have 35% increased attack speed on these, which is certainly very nice to have, especially for a melee build. We have 307% enhanced damage, which does vary between 290 and 340. As you can see, one of my talons rolled 307, and the other talon rolled 309. So not exactly the best rolls. What is going on with you, buddy? Sit still. He's just jumping all over the place for no reason. Like, I swear it's like a treadmill. I'll pick him up, put him back, 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 pick him up, put him back. And now he's over here with all my collectibles. God, I gotta chase him down half the time to make sure he sits where he's supposed to sit. Today he's been such a terrible little chinchilla. Just absolutely terrible. Like, the worst. Normally he's such a good little boy, and he sits with me on my shoulder, and he hides in my shirt, and maybe he comes out and he wants some scratches, or he plays with me. But today he's just been absolutely horrible, and I don't know what's wrong with him today. I really don't. He's like the mischievous little monster that lives in the shirt. So where was I? Where did I leave off? 307. So it was 290 to 340% enhanced damage. We also have a really nice adds magic damage component on here, which is 216 to 471. Now, unfortunately, that magic damage does not transfer between weapons. So it's only going to work when you hit with this particular weapon. It's not going to work on the offhand, essentially. We also have 25% chance of open wounds, which is great to have on a weapon. It's a chance to make the target bleed for 8 seconds. And the damage that it does is variable depending on your level. So the higher level you are, the more damage it does. We can also have plus the skills on here. As you can see, I have Death Sentry and Dragon Flight and Mind Blast. You can customize this weapon to your own heart's intent, and have the plus the skills that you would particularly want. I just threw some on here for fun, just so that I could play around with it. We also have +1 to Whirlwind, which is an O skill. What that means is that it is actually given to you. So you actually physically have the skill, and plus the skills will have an effect which will increase the amount of level that that particular skill has. We also have +10 to Strength on here, which is great for utilizing equipment. And then we have +15 to life to each demon kill. Not exactly the best, but I wouldn't turn down extra life on kills, although it is only demon kills, so it's kind of a downside. Now, Whirlwind functions very similarly to the way it does on Barbarian, obviously. When you are moving around, you are obviously consuming mana. It does consume 14 mana when used, And as you can see, it's kind of interesting to watch an Amazon whirlwind around with this particular ability. And just like on a barbarian, when you run out of mana from a mana burn monster, you are stuck in the middle of the whirlwind. Let me go grab some mana potions, since I'm going to be fighting mana burn monsters.
How may I be of help?
I didn't realize I'd be fighting mana beard monsters. And of course you can apply your venom as well, which is definitely very useful for this. Right now I'm running level 24 venom, which is 535 to 555 poison damage. Now the sad thing about this is that the weapon has this really amazing effect of proccing Frozen Orb. We were talking about the Frozen Orb procs earlier, right? And how much damage Frozen Orb could potentially do. But Whirlwind does not proc effects. So the Frozen Orb does not proc. The Charge Bolt does not proc. None of these effects are actually going to help us out when you're actually doing your Whirlwind. To get the effect of those abilities, you're going to have to attack with another ability. Like, for instance, you could use Dragonflight. So let's put Dragonflight on our offhand here, and we're going to Dragonflight in, and we're going to see if we can get the Frozen Orb to proc. There we go. We got a couple Frozen Orbs. Of course, these monsters are immune to cold anyway, so it doesn't exactly help us out very much. But as you can see, having Whirlwind on an Assassin is a very interesting ability. Whirlwind Assassins are actually very notoriously used in PvP. If you guys have never seen a Whirlwind Assassin in PvP, there are guides out there to the Whirlwind Assassin all over the place. Guides are not particularly my strong suit. I don't like to tell people how to build their characters. But if you are interested in looking up a guide specifically for a Whirlwind Assassin, there's plenty of them out there because the Whirlwind Assassin has become a very popular character. As you can see, it's just a very fun thing to do. The other interesting thing about Whirlwind that needs to be pointed out is that because Whirlwind is not technically movement, I know it is movement, but it's not technically movement, you don't lose your defensive value, and you also do not lose your block chance. So when you are Whirlwinding, you're much stronger than when you are not Whirlwinding, which is one of the reasons why it works so well in PvP, because you can chase while maintaining your block rate and your defensive capability. This allows you essentially to be a very aggressive player, because obviously if somebody is shooting at me, I don't want them to bypass my defenses, and movement basically allows anyone to bypass my defenses. Well, since Whirlwind does not technically count as movement, my defenses are not bypassed. You'll notice that when I run, my defense goes to line, which essentially means that it is completely and utterly, gone. My block chance also goes down to a 25% cap during this particular time as well. But when I am Whirlwinding, you will notice that my defense does not go down, as well as my block chance does not go down either. So this is definitely a boon for any character who would like to chase, essentially, while they are trying to attack. Usually you have to run after somebody and hope that they don't attack you back while all your defenses are gone. It's very strategic in Diablo 2 for this particular reason. There are other ways you can bypass this as well. For instance, Trangul set. When you are running it with Trangul set, it is like a floating, and your walk speed and your run speed are essentially the same, so you can toggle walk on, and you can walk at the same speed that you run, and maintain your defense that way as well. So that's rather interesting. All in all, the Chaos Runeword is definitely a very interesting runeword that has an entire build essentially built around it. Very similar to the way I love to build characters. I actually love to take an item and go, what can I potentially make out of this particular item? And the funny thing is this is one of those items. This is literally one of those items that you go, it gives me Whirlwind. What kind of assassin could I specifically build with this particular character? And then you kind of, figure it out. Another interesting thing you could do is you could potentially build a Blade Fury assassin with this particular claw. If you found the right effects. The Frozen Orb on striking and the Charge Bolt on striking definitely make very nice effects for Frozen Orb. You could, of course, find a +3 Blade Fury with maybe +3 to something else, like Blade Shield or something like that. Blade Fury has definitely gotten some buffs recently, if you guys are unaware, and it definitely could make a very interesting weapon for that. And, of course, having Whirlwind on top of your Blade Fury is certainly not going to be a downside. I'm not necessarily sure you would want to run 2 Chaos Talons. You would probably run 1 Chaos Talon and something else, but, you know, it could be interesting nonetheless. I have, unfortunately, not done a Whirlwind Assassin yet, so this might be something that I eventually look into. I've built, like, almost every character in the game, but I've never built a Chaos Assassin. I did build a full martial art assassin once. I built a trap assassin. I built a Blade Fury assassin. Actually, I'm pretty excited to test out my Blade Fury assassin on the new 2.4. But we'll get to that eventually. And you know, this is just one in particular that I never got around to, and it could be something fun to test out in the future. As always, I do appreciate you guys and gals watching my videos, and keep watching.